Class, good morning. April 16. Today's learning target is to explain the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, which we talked a little bit about from yesterday. Agenda for today is first, there's a review quiz you need to do. It is not graded. It's just for review. We will take very brief notes, just 2 slides, I believe, about the Articles of Confederation, what they were, and their weaknesses. And then your homework due today, 3 p.m., is an exit slip quick write. It should not take you very long to do that. It's an open-ended question, but it will take a little bit of your own thought in order to answer it well. Also, just one final reminder that tomorrow, 3 p.m., Friday, you have a work day, and if you have anything that is missing or late after tomorrow, 3 p.m., all of those grades will go in as zeros. And if you are a senior who has one of those go in at zeros, that means you will no longer be exempt from the exam because you have not met the exam exemption requirements that you got at the start of the class that I reviewed earlier this week and that you signed back before all of this quarantine stuff was happening. So first, I don't care if you do this right now or later, as long as you do this at least once today. There is a review quiz. It is just review. It's not graded. It is a Kahoot quiz. You could at least play that Kahoot one time before 3 p.m. today, just as review. That'd be great. It's really short, 6 questions, pretty easy to do. That Kahoot quiz will be under this post on Google Classroom. So you have your Quizlet, which I'll continue to add to as we go. The Kahoot is right here. And the Prezi I used the past 2 days is also now linked to that for your review as well. So review quiz, make sure you get that done. Shouldn't take you long. Next thing we will do is go through some notes. So whatever you've been using from before, go back to it. This is focused specifically on the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was the first plan of government in U.S. history. So after the colonies win the Revolutionary War, their independence has already been declared. They now need to create a plan of government for the states. That government is called the Articles of Confederation. As we said before, it was described as a firm league of friendship. So the 13 states were going to be really firm, good friends, and that was about it. So it's not creating a very strong national government. It's creating a loose alliance of states. This plan gives the states more power than the national government does. There is a national legislature. Once again, a legislature is the group of people who make laws. This legislature can declare wars, they can make treaties, they regulate trade between the states, and pretty much that's all the powers that the national government has. So again, the reason they did this was to avoid the government getting too powerful, being tyrannical and abusive, because that's what they thought the British did to them, and was the whole reason why they fought the Revolutionary War and lost many lives from it. In this national legislature, each state got 1 vote. Just 1 vote per state. It was equal no matter how many people lived in that state. There is no executive branch. There is no judicial branch. We have these today, but during the Articles of Confederation, they did not exist. We will talk more about what those look like in today's government in our next unit. Once again, just to emphasize, most powers under this plan, the Articles of Confederation, belong with individual states, not with the national government. This does not last very long, and this plan most definitely does not work. Here's why. Primary problem number 1. It did not give the national government something called the power of the purse. We don't literally mean like a handbag. What that means is that the government does not have the power to tax. State governments had the power to tax. The national government did not. Most people think taxes are bad, but taxes are good because they help give the government money, so the government can do things like pay off debt and provide basic services for its citizens. For example, our tax money does things like provide public education. It's supposed to help keep roads usable, although in Michigan, sometimes we wonder. Second problem, is it needed unanimous amendment approval. What that means, unanimous, is that all 13 states must agree. If even one says no, then it is not approved. An amendment is making a change to the plan. So if somebody wanted to change the Articles of Confederation, they noticed some of these problems, they want to fix it and make a change, even if only one state, even if it's a state as small as Rhode Island was, says no, then that amendment is not approved. All 13 need to do that. That means is that it's way too difficult to fix problems and weaknesses. Just imagine if we use this today. If all 50 states needed to agree, nothing would ever get done, because there's not a chance in the world that we can get all 50 states to agree on something. Third, and it's the final main problem, these are just the primary ones, is it did not provide an executive branch and an executive leader, a clear leader, to give the country direction and unity. If you don't have a specific person to look to in times of crisis, right? We have a president now. President Trump is our clear leader. His job is to lead us through this pandemic. Every single day, he steps to the podium, he speaks in the microphone in front of journalists, and on national television, any news network that you can think of, they will live stream the daily coronavirus COVID-19 briefing. They didn't have a person like that back then, which they didn't have a pandemic back then, but they did have problems too. All they have is a legislature, but there's not a specific person. Having a specific person gives you strong, clear leadership, assuming that the leader is going to be somebody that you can trust, which is why the people vote for leaders today, to pick someone that they can trust. So those are all the notes we have. Here is your homework for today, 3 p.m. You need to write an answer to this question. Imagine you are a delegate at something called the Constitutional Convention in 1787. A delegate is a representative. You've been chosen to represent one of the states. The Constitutional Convention was a meeting. We'll talk more about this next week, Monday. The meeting was to figure out how to fix the Articles of Confederation and come up with a plan of government that will work. So you have been chosen by whatever state you want to think of to go to this convention to help fix some of the problems that the United States is facing all the way back in 1787. What you need to tell me in your quick write is what are some of the biggest concerns facing the United States at that time. So not today, but under the Articles of Confederation back in 1787. You come up with 4 to 5 different concerns and issues that you would need to address. International students, this is going to be tough for you because most likely your knowledge of U.S. history isn't as good as those of us who were born in the United States and grew up in American education. So if you're an international student, if you want to look up some of this information and use the wonderful tool we know as Google, go for it. For the rest of you, I'm going to strongly encourage that you don't do this. This is an open-ended question. There's not a specific right answer. The only wrong answer is one that's not clear, not thoughtful, or completely unrealistic for 1787. If you say one of the main issues is that there are alien invasions going on, that would be a wrong answer. So I want you to do it your own original thinking. Unless you're an international student, we'll give you a little grace since this is going to be more challenging for you. So have that done by 3 p.m. today. Don't forget to do all missing and late work by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you more next week.